Because if I use one of those two words, and he's often running about that subject, and he can literally spend hours, and then I always have to try to look for the best exit point, and it gets very difficult. But lo and behold, I inadvertently used the word labor or union. I don't know which one I used, and then he was off and running. And he says, full of so much wisdom and intelligence. Matter of fact, today he's at the Labor Day parade in Pittsburgh, which is clearly, they say, one of the largest in the United States. And if you ever haven't been there, it's really something hopefully you can attend maybe in the future, because it is a very impressive parade. But he started on labor unions and started talking about how the unions naturally were the child of the Industrial Revolution, when many workers, and perhaps your grandparents or great-grandparents, when they worked long and they were abused and they received very little pay, and they were just given toil that was beyond perhaps human measure, and how they had to unionize and organize in order to have a better life for the future. But as we were talking, he ran into his house and he came out with this little story, because he was saying it, and it's really true, that all labor is important. And there's so many people in the course of a day that do so much to make our lives run smooth, and sometimes we don't realize it, sometimes we don't take the time to thank them. So he came out with this little story, and he shared it with me, and he gave it to me. So I just want to share this story with all of you this morning, because I think it makes sense, especially on Labor Day. It goes like this. Patrick came home from work and found his 3 children outside, still in their pajamas, playing in the mud, with empty food boxes and wrappers strewn all over the front yard. The door of his wife, Valerie's car, was open, as was the front door of the house, and there was no sign of the dog. Proceeding into the hall, Patrick found an even bigger mess. A lamp had been knocked over, and the rug was piled up against one wall. In the front room, the TV was loudly blaring a cartoon channel. The family room was strewn with toys and various items of clothing. In the kitchen, dishes filled the sink. Breakfast food was spilled on the worktop. The refrigerator door was wide open. Dog food was spilled on the floor. A broken glass lay under the table. A small pile of sand was spread by the back door. Patrick quickly headed up the stairs, stepping over toys and more piles of clothes, looking for his wife, Valerie. He was worried she might have got ill, collapsed, that something even more serious perhaps had happened to her. He was met with a small trickle of water as it made its way out of the bathroom door. As he peered inside the bathroom, he found wet towels, soap all over the place, more toys strewn on the floor. Miles of toilet paper lay in a heap, and toothpaste had been smeared all over the medicine cabinet and all over the sink. As he rushed to the bedroom, he found Valerie, his wife, still curled up in bed in her pajamas, reading a novel. She looked up at him, smiled, and asked, "How did your day go?" Patrick looked at Valerie, bewildered, and asked, "What happened here today?" Valerie again smiled and answered, You know, every day when you come home from work and you sarcastically ask me, "What did you do all day?" "Yes," was Patrick's startled answer. Well, Valerie said, "Well, today I didn't do it." There's so many people that put so much time and effort in making our lives smooth. I remember, for the most part, when I was young, my mom was healthy. And every time I'd come home from school, the clothes were always pressed. And I'd wake up in the morning, there's always a clean iron shirt to put on, and nice iron pants. And open the refrigerator, there was milk and any kind of food I wanted. She'd gotten sick when I was about 13 years old, and she'd been really sick for about 2 months. She eventually recovered. But for a month, she was in a hospital. It was then that I realized all the labor that she performed, despite the fact that she went to work every day. And at about 4 or 5 days after being in the hospital for her, I got home, and as usual, I went straight to the refrigerator, and the milk was gone. It was empty. And I went to get some lunch meat, and it was gone. The next morning, I got up to go to school, and there weren't any clean shirts, and my pants weren't clean, and I was out of socks. And then I realized, wow, now I know what she does all day. Between working and taking care of us, what an incredible amount of labor that she performed, and then I realized it. When she got back from the hospital and recovered from her illness, hopefully at that point forward, at least I believe I did, I hope I treated her better and thanked her more for all that she did. But just think about our lives. How many people it takes to make our life run smooth. This morning when I got up and start off with taking care of your bodily needs, and you brush your teeth, and I looked at my toothpaste and I thought, it's the person who works at the company that makes the toothpaste and the company that has all the workers that put it into a tube and get it to the store so I could get to the store, and the person who put it on the shelves. I mean, all those people involved to get that toothpaste into my medicine cabinet, I need to thank, because that's the way I want to start off my morning. Then I took a nice hot shower, and the folks who work the electric power plant to get that power here to the rectory. I mean, I don't even know who those people are, but they sure allow my life to run smooth. And then I had a cup of coffee. It's the folks who work the coffee fields, Juan Valdez and all of his buddies who get all those coffee beans going. I mean, you really have to appreciate that. There's so many people, even in our beautiful church today, the folks who work to build this, who work to maintain it. After Sunday, when I watch our janitor Steve clean the church on a Sunday and he sweeps this floor, you would be stunned by the pile of garbage and Kleenex. And the other day, last Sunday, there were a couple chicken bones. I'm not sure what they were doing here. But when he sweeps up the garbage on a Sunday by 5 o'clock when he's done on Sunday, it's spotless as it is right now. But as he begins to clean the church, it's amazing, the debris. And if it wasn't for him, if no one cleaned the church, our church would get pretty messy pretty fast. We just walk in there and expect to see it to look like this all the time. We just think that, well, no one does anything. I remember when I was over at Mont St. Peter's, there's a fabulous little janitor over there. His name was Tony Muto. You might know him. Tony was, in my book, he was a living saint. And Tony would fix something before it broke. There were so many things I would see every so often. Maybe I'd notice the paper dispenser in the bathroom was leaning a little bit, and I'd say to myself, when I see Tony, I'll tell him to fix it. Half the time I forgot about it, and then I'd walk back into the bathroom, and lo and behold, it was fixed. I remember one day there was a meeting. We have anyone from Mont St. Peter's here this morning, you might appreciate this. But someone said at a meeting one day when they were talking about financial issues, they said the subject, "We don't need a janitor because nothing here ever breaks." And just the good Lord gave me the wisdom as a young priest at that time to say, no, nothing breaks because we have a janitor that fixes absolutely everything before it breaks, that cleans up a mess seconds after it's made. So the vast majority of people enter that church and say everything in spick and span and in order and nothing's ever broke. Did that happen by just a miracle that God performs every day? No, that happened through the labor of especially one man who was the janitor back when I was a young priest over there, and Tony Muto, because he just took care of everything as it needed to be taken care of. Labor Day is a special day. There are a lot of folks who do a lot of labor, and I would say Father Gregory and I offering Mass is not labor intensive. We should be able to finish this Mass without a sore back. This is an honor rather than labor to offer Mass this morning. But there are a lot of people that we need to thank, who make sure that we open up the refrigerator, and maybe you're one of the people that's a flat for the family. When you open up the refrigerator, there is milk and lunch meat. That when you open up your closet door in your house, that there's a fresh shirt and clean pants and socks that are clean as well, and a house that is vacuumed. Who does that for you? Who deserves to be thanked by you? I would have to say for all of us, we have to tip our hat off to anyone who performs any type of laborious task. Because all those people, probably many of you, if not all of you included, they deserve our thank you.